Residents in the U.S. state of Louisiana are fighting for their right to defend themselves. Police confiscated their guns after Hurricane Katrina struck 5 years ago. It was an attempt to keep order amid the looting and violence which followed. But as Priya Sridhar has been finding out, many in the state are still angry over what they believe was a violation of the Constitution.
It's a Sunday afternoon in Louisiana.
I just came out here to shoot, practice, and have a good time.
And guns are ablazing at this shooting range.
So I'm 40%.
I believe everybody should have the right to defend themselves at any cost.
In this part of the United States, the right to bear arms is part of everyday life.
I believe a person has the right to shoot first, ask questions later. I've been robbed at gunpoint before, and I know what it's like.
I believe that living in America means that we should be able to carry a handgun.
But that wasn't always the case.
So what are you doing? So we're taking your weapons.
Richard Styron and his friend Wayne Shum were on Lake Pontchartrain about a week after Hurricane Katrina made landfall.
And I had almost, I'd say anywhere from 6 inches to a foot of water in the house. But it was still there.
They went to Styron's house to get his things.
We heard of the stuff that was going on in New Orleans, all the shooting and the people that were getting hurt, some killed from what I've been told.
While heading back across the lake, the pair was stopped by law enforcement and asked to give up their weapons.
Be just like taking your vehicle away from you or whatever. I mean, it's your private property and they just don't have any right taking it from you.
As the hurricane took the city by storm, residents felt their constitutional rights were being blown away.
The armed populace keeps the government in check. The government should not be in charge of the populace should run the government. And whenever the government has the guns and the populace doesn't have the guns, the government does what it wants.
In the aftermath of Katrina, New Orleans was in complete chaos. Law enforcement couldn't handle all the problems, and on streets like this one, every single building was looted except for one, Cajun's Pub.
SAR-3, Smith & Wesson, clip-action shotgun, the 12-gauge semi-automatic.
Joanne Guidos is the owner of Cajun's Pub. She decided to take things into her own hands.
There was vans with thugs in them, and they were breaking into any businesses where there was no sign of anyone around in them. They didn't mess with us here because I stood out front with my shotgun.
Guidos protected her patrons when law enforcement was nowhere in sight. After guarding her pub for about a week, Guidos decided to evacuate.
U.S. Marshals came across us in front, saw me with my shotgun. You know, they pulled about a dozen M16s on us, put everybody against the wall, checked everybody's ID, took all my weapons, and then left.
She couldn't believe this was happening in the United States.
I was furious. I had no way of protecting myself.
Beyond the physical destruction, they saw their city and even their country transforming before their eyes.
Look at the communist countries, look at Cuba, look at Nicaragua, look at any country you want to take, where the government has the guns and the populace is unarmed, and look at how they live and how they're treated.
It's a story they want remembered so it never happens again. Priya Sridhar, RT, New Orleans, Louisiana.
And American radio host Alex Jones says the actions of the government 5 years ago did breach people's rights to defend themselves.
What's scary here is the first time the federal government was able to take control of a U.S. city during an emergency, they wouldn't bring food and water to the people at the Superdome. In fact, they blocked aid in many cases. Their main mission was set the precedent to get the American people's guns. 5 years later, we still see the continued anti-Second Amendment mission of the federal government. We are now a total third world police state, total tyranny setting in, and the system doesn't know what to do because they haven't been able to get our guns yet. And they tried to use Katrina as a case point to set the precedent and to train police nationwide under federal and FBI control to go into high and dry areas and take people's right to defend themselves and leave them by themselves to be raped, robbed, and killed by the looters, many of which were the government themselves.